Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Hunters Hockey Hurricanes podcast here on YouTube. Welcome back, everybody. I know it's been a while. I haven't posted anything about games 2 or 3. I apologize. I was in Nashville for a bachelor party, and I don't really have the same equipment, just handy to bring with me. I'm going to try to see if I can finagle that some way. Maybe take it on my phone. I'm not sure for Game 5 because I also have another bachelor party this weekend. And I will be at Game 5, confirmed last night, after the big win in Game 4. So, really, just to sum up Games 2 and 3 of the series, the better team won. Shocker, right? That really has been the synopsis of every game in this series so far. Games 1 through 4, the better team won. And it hasn't been close. Any of the games. 5-1 first game. 6-1 second game. 8-4 third game. And last night, 6-1, Hurricanes take it. They take a commanding 3-1 lead in the series, and boy, am I happy about it. Because, man, the way that they're playing right now is inspiring. It really, truly is. Against one of the best offensive teams in the league, transition offense. I mean, we saw what they could do in Game 3. Came out firing. 3-0 like that, it felt like. Kind of from there, I mean, once you're down 3-0, it's a playoffs, man. Goals are hard to come by. So when they get things like that, it's kind of like how it came in Game 4. So, yeah. Games 2 and 3, the better team won both of those. In Game 2, it was Carolina. They kind of came out in the second period, which has kind of been a little pattern that we've seen through the 2 games that we've won 6-1. The second period being the period in which they score the most goals. Last night they scored 5 in the second period, which is insane. And we're going to talk about all the players who I believe were the best on the ice. It's kind of easy to see. I mean, not that every player didn't contribute, because it kind of felt like it, right? But, I mean, there were definitely some guys out there that you could see were on a different level last night. And we'll get into Martinook. What a series. I mean, series of a lifetime for sure for him. Someone who we didn't know if he was going to be on the team this year, right? I mean, that was kind of the news coming in. We didn't know if he was going to be here, but glad to see him here, especially if he's going to give us 9 points in 4 games. Okay, so going into Game 4 last night, man, you can't tell me that every Carolina fan in the back of their mind wasn't a little nervous. Because you think about what happened in the last series with the Devils against the Rangers. They get beat 5-1, 5-1. And they got beat at home 5-1, 5-1, right? Now, you can't say that if that's us, if that's Carolina, we're thinking, oh, it's done, because we're going back to Raleigh and winning the next 2, right? Didn't happen so much for the Rangers, right? They came home, they lost the next 3. Not only the 2 at home, they lost the next one in Jersey as well. They got by in Game 6 and eventually lost in Game 7. But that was kind of, I know it was stirring in the back of my mind. Not that I thought that yesterday's game was necessarily a must-win game, but it was a game that if you're Carolina, you really do not want to lose. And it kind of showed, right? Maybe not in the first 10 minutes of the game, especially in the first 2 minutes. Pesce gets a puck behind the net. And I think, honestly, I haven't seen the replay too much, but I think Jack Hughes kind of got a stick on it, maybe? I don't think it's all Pesce. Now, Pesce could have gotten the puck out sooner and definitely cleaner. But I do think Jack Hughes gets a stick on it. Not making too many excuses, though, because it leads to Timo Meier getting the puck, shooting it in front of Freddie. It is a tip-in goal. It goes through Freddie. But tip-ins are tip-ins, right? 1-0 for the Devils. Not even 2 minutes in. And you're thinking to yourself, oh goodness, here we go. At least I was. But you could see after that, even after that goal, yes, there still was a little bit of a push from the Devils for another, 5, 6, 7 minutes. But after that, Carolina got to their game. And they really didn't let it go for the rest of the game. Marty Necas. Yeah, I mean, I said in Game 1 he looked better, right? He looked better than he had in the Islander series already in Game 1. And, of course, Games 2 and 3, he was in the scoring column one more time, I believe, right? But yesterday, he showed some elite skill on some of those, on both of those goals, really. The first goal, it's a great play from Jacob Slavin to kind of stop the puck from going in the defensive zone. He shoots it up to Martinook, who is going to pass it on over to Necas. The puck is actually batted down by the defenseman. Marty Necas focuses and puts it past Vanacek 1-1, and that by far is the biggest goal of the game. If the next goal doesn't go Carolina's way, it can very much be 6-1 the other way. At least that's how I felt. If it's not 1-1 there, if it's 2-0 Devils, I don't see it happening the way that it did. Anyway, I'm glad it did, because that was really the catalyst that shot off Carolina in the second period. Right, so in the second period, Necas gives a 2-1 lead to Carolina. Very similar play. Pesce gets in the zone. He passes it over to Necas, who's in the middle. The puck is tipped by the defenseman there. I think it's Siegenthaler. And Necas again. Very elite. I mean, it's hard to bat in a puck when it's bouncing on the ice. I mean, how many times have we seen Carolina whiff at a puck and it's not even moving? It's just they're not looking at it, right? Like, it happens fairly often. And for him to be able to corral that puck, put it top shelf against Vanacek to make it 2-1, huge. Very big for that game. Not too long after that, 9:51 into the second period, Pesce extended the lead to 3-1 from a shot pretty much in the slot. He had come down just a little bit. He gets a little touch pass from Jack Drury, and he puts it off the right post and in to make it 3-1. And, I mean, if you were watching ESPN, you heard Subban at the end of the second period saying he would like, at that point, for Ruff to call, the Devils coach, to call a timeout, which I think is fair, because 3-1, you can see it's going Carolina's way up until that point, and, I mean, we were buzzing. It was because not too long after that, 11:07 into the second, Jesper Foss gets a rebound off of a Jalen Chatfield shot from the point, and one motion gathers the puck, brings it across, puts it behind Vanacek, and at that point, people were wanting Vanacek out of the game at that point. At least that's what the announcers were saying. You couldn't really see it from the telecast. But they said that they were wanting him out at that point, which is fair. I mean, they had scored 3 goals in the matter of 3.5 minutes or so. Yeah, so, I mean, I think that's fair. But they, again, end up extending the lead. Even past that, when Burns scores his first goal of the playoffs at 12:46 into the second period. And now it's 5-1. I believe at this point they had already taken their timeout after the 4-1 goal from Jesper Foss. So they had already taken their timeout. And Burns then scores from a slap shot, which was honestly a soft goal from Vanacek. I mean, very soft. It went right through the wickets, right through the 5-hole. If you're a goalie, you got to stop that. I mean, it's square to you. I mean, I get it. It's Brent Burns. It's going to be a high-velocity shot. But if you're a goalie in the playoffs, you have to save that. He doesn't. He goes right through the 5-hole, 5-1. I mean, it's already over in my book. After 4-1, I was like, okay, hey, look, we're on something different right now. So yeah, I mean, after the game, Brenda Moore says that the game was won in that 5-minute span, which I totally agree with. I mean, you score 4 goals in 5 minutes, it's going to be hard to beat you. I mean, you can't really beat that production, right? It's really great to see, especially from Necas, who we thought really needed to pick up the goal scoring. Jesper Foss is just continuing to have a good playoff run, scoring, I believe it's either 3rd or 4th goal of the playoffs. I believe it's his 4th, but I'm not 100% there. Brent Burns gets on the tally sheet in the goals column, which is nice. We want to see him putting pucks in the back of the net. He's done really good offensively in the assist column, but you always want to see him put points or goals on the board. But yeah, I mean, it's 5-1 at that point, and we're just cruising. I mean, honestly, I didn't think we were going to score anymore after that, but it ended up being that Martinook. He's on fire. On fire. This dude is playing the games of his life. I mean, just absolutely wrecking it. 9 points in 4 games. He was one of my stars in the first game. He had 2 assists that game. He ends up getting 2 assists and a goal last night. I mean, just absolutely wrecking it. He is doing fantastic. And it can't... It's in, honestly, the best time that I think we need it. If there was one thing I was worried about against the Devils in this series, it was, are we going to put the puck in the back of the net more than they can? Because they've shown throughout the year that they have no problem putting the puck in the back of the net. We've had some struggles, especially towards the end of the regular season. It's just the way it was, right? I'd be lying to you if I wasn't really upset after a 12 o'clock in the afternoon start against the Buffalo Sabres in Buffalo. I think we lost that game 4-3. Just the whole game, just feeling like we couldn't get a bounce. It's frustrating. We just had concerns about how many we could score. This goal scoring spike from Martin can't come at a better time against a team who I think is probably the most offensive-minded team that you're going to play in the playoffs. I mean, you can put Edmonton in there for sure, right? They've got elite goal scoring. But you wouldn't play them till the cup. And once you get there, anything can happen, right? If you make it there, it's game on, right? So, no better time, in my opinion, that we can have this goal-scoring bout. Now, is it over by any means? Absolutely not. I mean, we saw the Islanders came into Raleigh in Game 5, and I was at that game. They stunned us then. I would have bet all of my money that we go in and finish the Islanders in Game 5 in Raleigh. Didn't happen. Lost 3-2. Honestly, not that bad of a game. But again, we just couldn't put the puck in the back of the net. Right? Now, I think the biggest difference in these games has been goaltending. Right? I mean, it's like I said earlier on the Brent Burns goal. I think it was a soft goal. I mean, it goes right through Vanecek's pads. No tips, nothing. Square shot. I mean, he squared up to it. Goes right through his pads. And out of the 4 games that we've played, New Jersey's had to pull their goalie 3 times. Right? Schmidt in the first 2 games, we did have to pull our goalie last game, right? We had to pull Freddie. Technically, he doesn't even get a loss, right? So his record is up to 4-0 in the playoffs this year, right? And last night, Vanecek had to be pulled. They put Schmidt in. He gets beat by Martinook on a perfect shot, though. I mean, Martinook couldn't have placed that any better. So, I think the goaltending for New Jersey is an issue for them. And I think it's probably why we've been able to see such a spike in goal scoring in this series, particularly. I mean, we have 20 goals in 4 games. That's not something that we could have thought that we were going to get. At least I didn't think so. Because, I mean, Schmidt in the Rangers series looked like he was on everything, right? And I thought that would be the difference, ultimately. Not saying that I thought we were going to lose this series, but if Schmidt had played like he did, it would have been a lot tougher. I don't think we're in a 3-1 series lead right now. Probably split 2-2. But at the same time, like, They just haven't gotten the goaltending that we've gotten from Freddie, right? Freddie, except for that one-off game, he's only allowed 3 goals in 4 games. I mean, that is excluding Game 3, right? But I mean, I'll take that any day of the week to have 3 out of your 4 games only let up 1 goal. That's a recipe for success, especially against a team as offensive minded as the Devils, where if they're not going to outscore you, they're definitely not going to play defense better than you. So what do they have? Not much, right? So yeah, I think that's probably the biggest uh, difference in these games has been the goaltending that we have gotten from Freddie, and the goaltending that New Jersey has gotten from Vanacek and Schmidt. It just hasn't been there, right? Not saying that Freddie can't fall off a mountain and just not look that good, but right now, the way that he's playing tremendous, right? I mean, he stood on his head, I believe, in the first 10 minutes of the game just to keep it at 1-0. He made some great saves that kept us in the game. That if it's 2-0, like I said, I think if it's 2-0, we get a repeat of the last game, Game 3, right? So he's done his job. He's done what he needs to do to be in this position that we are in right now. Right? We're up 3-1, looking good going into Raleigh. I can only assume that it's going to be extremely loud going into Raleigh tomorrow. I'm excited. I'm going with some of my bachelor buddies. It's going to be a fun experience. Right, so didn't really talk about much of the third period. I don't think there's really much to talk about. I mean, apparently the Devils got 5 shots in that period. I don't really know when they came. Honestly, I was buying my tickets for the next one. It was 6-1. I was buying my tickets for Game 5 because I want this series to end. I don't want this game. I don't want more than even the Islanders series. I don't want this to linger on. This needs to be put to a stop right now. We can't give them any extra momentum. Because honestly, I don't see, if they win tomorrow, Game 5, I don't see them stopping and all of a sudden looking the way that they did last night in Game 6. Now it can happen. I mean, we already did it, right? It can happen. But I think if you don't put this to bed tomorrow, you run the risk of it having to go 7 when the Panthers on the other side might end it tonight. You never know. Toronto could push it an extra game or 2. You never know. But most likely in the next 2 games in that series, Toronto and Florida, they're going to put that to bed. So you want to have as much rest as possible going into that Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Like I said, we haven't won anything yet. It's a 3-1 series lead. We saw the Panthers come back from it against the best team in the league, quote unquote. I think we could have beat the Bruins. What does my opinion matter? Not too much, but we'll never see it because the Bruins lost. But yeah, I mean, I just think you have to put it to bed tomorrow because you don't want them to suddenly wake up and have this extra boost in scoring. You just don't want it. And if we come out and we play our game, I think it could be I think it could be another route. We could just move on. If we come out a little sloppy like we did Game 3, I think honestly we got in ourselves Game 3. It didn't look like the Hurricanes at all. It looked like a whole different team. If we come out looking like that team, we're going back to New Jersey for Game 6 and most likely a Game 7 in Raleigh. We come out tomorrow looking like the Hurricanes, who have come out and beat this team 5-1, 6-1, and 6-1. I don't think we should have a problem. I think we can get to it. I think Freddie will be good. I think that place will be jumping. I think they're going to get the energy from everybody. And my prediction is that Aho has at least 2 tomorrow. Because I think he's going to come out and knowing the great competitor that he is, he knows how big this Game 5 is. And I think he wants to get it done as quick as I want, as quick as I want them to. Because he knows what can happen. So, that'll be it for today. Thank you again for coming to watch the Hunters Hockey Hurricanes podcast. Again, I am your host, Hunter. Guys, thanks for coming by and watching. I appreciate it tremendously if you don't mind. And if you did like the video, please click the like button. Also, if you enjoy all the content that I'm making, if you enjoy these podcasts, please consider hitting the subscribe button and hit the bell notification so that when I do post, you'll get the notification and can watch it right away. Alright guys, thanks so much. I will see y'all later. Let's go Canes, baby.